Thanks for
How you
coming
guys
on.
doing today?
This is the greatest day of our life. How's that?
Couldn't agree with you more.
Okay.
Hey, you know, it's funny, Rip, is how many times we sit in that caravan and drink Coca-Cola and eat candy bars and sandwiches that I made. Yeah. Rip and I, we had a hell of a life in Germany and Austria. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was telling me that's where I guess you guys met there, right? Is that where you guys met?
Yeah.
Hey, Maxie, when you started, Maxx Payne was your first name, right?
Well, you know, Otto, he hated that shit. So when I went to Germany, he cut the fucking Maxx Payne thing off immediately too.
Heavy metal Buffalo.
Yeah, well, it started off just as Buffalo Pedersen, you know, so
yeah,
that was the hard part. It started off just as, you know, what Otto wanted, because he'd had Bull Power, and then he had what was his name, Paul New, and he went by what?
Avalanche.
No, no, Avalanche was John Tenta, wasn't it? No, Paul New. He had a Otto had given, I think, some kind of a bear or something. So yeah.
And then Chubby Mastino, Bruiser Mastino.
Yeah, Bruiser Mastino, yeah.
Chubbo.
Who ended up being Mankind. Not Mankind, Mantar, sorry.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Nick. That was a slip of the tongue there. So do you guys broadcast live? Is this live, or do you go back and edit it?
Don't mind Rip. He's just eating right now during the thing here, making a bunch of noise with his sack and eating and drinking.
Well, it wouldn't be Rip if it wasn't.
Yeah,
right?
it's tough. I mean, I'm recording this right now, but
yeah,
we're not live. So we put our show out on YouTube once a week.
Yeah.
And then we just started doing interviews last week, and we're doing those once a week as well.
Do you so how long's your format? An hour, 2 hours? Whatever you
I got it on Zoom, and Zoom gives you the free 40 minutes, and it's supposed to be, if you have just one person on, which we do, it's supposed to, like, I put on today, I think, an hour and a half just in case, but it showed me right now 40 minutes, so we'll just see what happens. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we don't have a lot of we don't plan a lot. We don't prepare a lot, and whatever happens. I mean, it's you know, Rip, right? So
yeah, of course.
That's kind of the way it is here at Lilas.
Probably better than most.
Rip said. So I told Rip, I said, you got to kind of take charge today, man. You know Max and everything, and he's like, he's a talker. He'll be fine. He'll just tell stories.
Yeah.
So
you ain't gonna worry about me. Don't worry, if somebody won't blow my horn for me, I'll do it myself. You know, that's the thing about wrestlers. That's our gig, right? Is you learning to blow your own horn. So
yeah, we have Maxx Payne on today. So I never even got to introduce you here, but that's fine. We didn't introduce anybody last week, I don't think, either. And then I was rewatching some of Briscoe and Bradshaw. Have you ever been on their YouTube show by chance?
I don't think so.
So they do a good introduction and really talk the person up. So I apologize that I didn't put you over.
You know, it's okay. You know, Rip is I didn't come with any expectations because I know Rip. So
you didn't expect
know him well enough
Rip,
to know that you just got to kind of shoot from the hip with Rip.
That's right. Hey, that's a good name. We should put that in
nice.
There. We should
shoot from the hip. You better write that one down.
Hey, let me write that down real quick.
Yes, of course.
If you don't,
he's not writing it down. He's just working like he is.
No, I'm writing it down, baby. I'm stealing that shit. Stealing it. So, how'd you get into wrestling in the very beginning? I know you said you met Rip in Austria. What was your first in?
Are you talking professional wrestling? Because my real first into wrestling was actually amateur wrestling.
I was talking professional, but go ahead and back up to the amateur.
Well. Yeah, so it's, you know, let's put it this way. I wasn't a spectacular amateur wrestler. I did pretty good. I was a national champion on a national championship team. I was fifth in the NCAA and broke an NCAA record and blah, blah, blah. But it was definitely the lead in to my wrestling career. You know, it was the thing that it's funny because I said I'd never be a wrestler. So I actually said it in the school newspaper because, you know, by the time I started wrestling in college, you know, everybody, because I was a big dude, whenever they saw me, when I'd say I was a wrestler, they'd go, oh, yeah, I watch that on TV all the time. And I go, no, you don't. You don't watch me on TV all the time. And they'd go, hey, sorry, not just trying to piss you off or nothing. I said, no, I'm an amateur wrestler. Nobody watches amateur wrestling on television, right?
Right.
So anyway, I swore to God I'd never be a professional wrestler. And then one day after I graduated, I was in a movie, a wrestling movie too, that really changed. In fact, the wrestling movie is what changed my life and drew me into the entertainment business full time. I was already that kid. You know, in school at the time, I loved to quote Monty Python and do skits and imitations and impersonations of my favorite actors and shit. And then, you know, I was an amateur wrestler. I was good this was in high school. I was a junior in high school. And I was really devoted to making my amateur wrestling career really, really good.
Yep.
And out of nowhere, a wrestling movie came into my life called Takedown. And I did that for 10 weeks.
Was this when you were in high school or college?
I was in high school.
High school, wow.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school. And not only was I a junior in high school because my birthday is in October.
Oh, I
was a young junior.
Yeah,
right?
You're extra. You graduated at 17, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like the last guy because my birthday's like October 3rd, and I think the cutoff day was the 4th or something. Wow. So I got into school when I was 4. The only mistake I made, it's funny, it's actually kind of a stupid, funny story, but the test they gave me to get into kindergarten, I remember this, it's funny. The test they gave me is they said, make a peanut butter sandwich. And so at the time, what I would do is just throw gobs of peanut butter and jelly in the middle of the bread and then squeeze it out to the edge. And my mom goes, oh my God. And the teacher said, we were all amazed by the fact as how he got it right to the edge of the bread. So now I'm still neurotic about my sandwiches have to have mayo right to the edge of the bread, you know. So anyway, yeah.
Sounds like some Rip would say.
Yeah. So, you know, I was that kid in school I was younger, but then I also rode, and Rip knows these kind of guys too. I rode kind of the edge of the lightning bolt because I was an athlete, but I was a stoner. You know, I was a guy that all the athletes hated, except they all liked me because the truth to be known is they were all lying. They were all stoners too. They just did it, you know, quietly. I was the guy everybody just knew when I was heading down the hallway where I was going. I was heading the parking lot to my 1972 Dodge Charger with a 400 Magnum in it. So anyway, so, you know, I was that kid that just was really, I was caught, man. I was really a caught world I lived in the beginning.
You got along with everybody was what it was.
I did. I really did.
You were in 10 different cliques and you were comfortable with all of them.
I was really lucky that way, Rip. You know, and I'll tell you something else. So I'll tell you a little story. I actually told this, used this as a promo once. So I've only been to one of my class reunions, and I go to this class reunion, and I'm standing there, and this little teeny guy comes walking up to me. He's got glasses on, and I knew who he was. I couldn't at this moment. And then I realized who it was. His name was Kevin Neal. And he came up to me, and tears are just pouring down his cheeks. And I'm like, Kevin, oh my God, it's been forever. And he's going, I have something to tell you. I have to tell you how you helped me in high school. And I'm like, what? He's like, so all the guys on Stud Row, we had this place in the high school. I'm sure you had it in Seymour High School, Rip, where you go fucking, you did too, Chris, where you go, it is Chris, right? Because I'm notorious to call you, what was Clint again?
We'll go with Vaughn.
Yeah.
It's Chris, right?
This is Vaughn Lilas Studios. So we'll go with Vaun.
VON, yeah.
Vaughn Lilas, baby.
It's Chris, right?
No, I mean, no.
That's a hell of a rib.
Chris is it, yeah. We'll go with Chris.
Clint,
Now on your Chris.
Mike.
It's Chris now. From now on.
You're gonna make me go to my phone because you think I'm fucking ribbing. I'm just a stoned old fool.
I don't think I ever put Clint in there. I think I put Vaughn in.
No, you didn't. No, you. It's not your fault. It's mine.
No, it's all good, man. I'm just sitting here.
So anyway, in the end,
I did go to Seymour High School though.
So this kid, I didn't go to Seymour, but everybody had a Stud Row. You know what I mean? Everybody had a place where all the fucking seniors stood and watched the little girls go by.
Oh, yeah.
All that shit, right? So
the young boys.
I'm standing there. So Kevin says, starts telling his story, and I remember. So I'm standing at my locker one day, and I close my locker, and here stands this guy, and he's once again, we all had this in school. We all had that guy, those dudes that were like fucking super smart. The nerds. They were the nerds, little dudes who wore glasses, had the thing in the middle, the pocket protector, and was great at math and physics,
That's right.
So he's standing there, and he was on the wrestling team. So I saw him every day, so I'm standing in my locker, and he goes, listen, man, he goes, if I gave you my milk money, for the week, and then my lunch money too, he said, would you go past Stud Row with can I walk next to you and maybe we're friends or something? And I'm like, Kevin, first of all, you don't have to pay me. You are my friend. So yeah, come with me. So I walked him over to Stud Row, and all these guys are standing there. And I said, hey, listen, you fucking assholes, this is Kevin. Quit picking on him. And I said, from now on, you stupid morons, if you need any help, this is the guy to get your help from because he knows everything. So stop picking on him and using him as a resource. So I didn't think nothing about it. A couple days later, I go walking by. Here stands Kevin on Stud Row.
Kevin's over.
Kevin, what's up, bro? And then I go by, and he's standing there with all the athletes, telling him when he can go to help them with their homework and shit. So he's crying to me, and he said, I just want to thank you for that. I'm like, wow. Awesome. How do you top a story like that, right? And so that was just one of those great moments. And I ended up using that in a promo about Vader. Someplace out there, that promo exists with that story in it.
Rip would have taken his money.
Well, and probably demanded more, that he robbed his little brother that was just down the.
Rip, you got donut on your face right now. Get that?
This might be my
that chocolate donut all over
my
your
one tooth.
So which what reunion was that? Was that recent or was that right out of
high good school? Fucking God. No, that was
long time
25 years ago. I'll tell you when it was. It was when I was in WCW. So it had been 90. It's probably 25 years. So 93.
Yeah, cool.
Probably 93. Yeah.
I got my 50th coming up in August. Will I go? I don't know.
Isn't it scary though? it's so weird because it's just amazing how fast this rock spins around the sun. You know, it's just one of those things that you go, what the hell, man? All of a sudden I'm fucking 60 years old, which quite frankly, I'm kind of proud that I made it this far. I wasn't sure I'd ever live to be, you know, past, honestly, I was surprised I made it past 40. And I was living that kind of a lifestyle. I think we all were. We've all been down that road where you live that crazy lifestyle. And when you ride the edge of the lightning bolt,
froze up on it.
You get burned.
Yep. I think you're looking good, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Look good. So we started trying to get into how you actually got into wrestling, and we ended up. We ended up at your class reunion, which is fine,
class reunion. Fuck, they see that's the way it's supposed to be.
Because that's what happens on this show.
There's not supposed to be any order
on a weekly basis, anyway.
Right.
But, so the movie. You got
the movie
on professional wrestling or amateur wrestling?
No, it's amateur. If you want to go see it, you can go to just go to Google and type in, I think it's YouTube. If you just type in the word Takedown 79, which is the year it was released, it will come up. And it's actually even by today's standards, it's a pretty cool little old movie. You know, it's just one of those kind of sleeper films that they were hoping would be kind of like Rocky. And it always got good reviews. It did well in my home state. It just didn't do good outside the state of Utah. You know, it was a regional hit because of all the kids that were in it regionally. But outside of that, it didn't have a big audience. Disney bought it and then they sold it to somebody else. And if I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd go buy it and re-release it in Utah because I think it would still be a big hit because a lot of those people have children and grandchildren and, you know, probably great grandchildren. So anyway, the movie, I was a junior in high school and it completely changed my life. It's one of those things I could literally talk for 2 or 3 hours on just the impact the movie had on me, simply because there were so many things that happened. You know, you're not quite prepared. You know, I listen to child stars on TV now, and I wasn't a star. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying I listen to child stars that are, you know, people that are big on television. I listen to them talk about the things they went through, and I completely identify with it. It was very hard, very, very hard to be from a small town and have that kind of stardom on you immediately, because we were, for 10 weeks, we were in the paper like almost every weekend. And, you know, it was one of those things, when the movie ended, it is when it really, really messed with my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up dropping out of high school that year. I didn't go to my senior year. So I literally went to a year and a half of high school. I went my freshman year. My sophomore year, I crashed on a motorcycle halfway through my sophomore year and destroyed my left leg. And then halfway through my junior year, I was in Takedown. And after Takedown, I quit going to school and then didn't go back to school until I went to Iowa State, not Iowa State, but North Idaho College, to start my amateur wrestling career and going back to school. So that's how all of that happened. And the reason I did that, the reason I went back to school and the reason I got an education was because I wanted to be in television and film. And so I graduated from Iowa State University with a degree in television and film, and talked to a few friends of mine, and they said, well, if you want to be in film, if you want to be in the film industry, you got no choice. You got to take your ass to LA.
Let me back you up for a second. How did you get into college if you quit high school? Did you have to get like a GED, or was it
I did. I went and got my GED and blazed right through it. I was actually really quite surprised. Got my GED very easily. So here's the thing. While I was a junior in high school, Oklahoma State University's wrestling team recruited me. A guy named Tommy Chesborough, who used to be the coach of Oklahoma State. He recruited me when I was a junior.
Yep.
My coach in high school was an NCAA Division I referee. So he knew every coach in the NCAA, literally, because not only did he referee Division I, II, and III, he did NAIA and NJCAA. And so this guy knew everybody that was in the amateur wrestling business because he was a ref. And he talked to Tommy Chesborough at Oklahoma State about me because Oklahoma State loved big heavyweights. And at the time, I was already 6'4", 275 pounds. This was as a sophomore.
Yep.
And so they had already recruited me. And so he told me the last thing he said to me, this Tommy Chesborough, is he said, listen, he said, if you ever, he goes, go get your degree. And if you ever get your diploma, give me a call. I'd love to have you be a cowboy. So 6 months later, I called him on the phone. Said, hey, Tommy, remember me? He said, oh my gosh, yes, I do. He goes, well, I said, well, I graduated from high school. I said, I want to come to Oklahoma State. And he goes, oh man, I've got all my scholarships out. So he said, let me call and see if some of my friends, see if I get you to a junior college for a year until you come to Oklahoma State. And I said, okay. And he said, I'll call you back in a couple of days. And I said, great. And I sat down and the phone rang, and it was a guy in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, at a junior college that has to this day, out of 15 national championships in the state of Idaho, 11 of them are, and this is my figures are probably off, but out of the 15 in the state of Idaho, and that means all sports, 11 of them are from this junior college. So it was a powerhouse junior college. And I was excited as hell, went there, did great there, and ended up being recruited by Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Cal Bakersfield, BYU, Boise, list goes on, and Iowa State. And there's a real long story about the fact that I'd already met the coach from Iowa State right after the movie. I failed to tell the part in there that's probably the most important part is when I dropped out of high school. The reason is my girlfriend got pregnant with my first child. So
got it.
It was a big year. In fact, it was a great year because my son was born on the 21st of December. So I got all my taxes back that I'd paid from being in the movie as a single guy. I got to file as a married with child guy, and I got like $5,000 back on my taxes the next year because of that. So anyway, there's the whole thrush of how I got to LA. So I get to LA looking for a job. My cousin wins some tickets to the premiere of a movie at Mann's Chinese Theater. I go there, and there's a security guard. I couldn't find a job. I'd been there for a couple of weeks. My cousin wins these tickets, says, hey, let's go boogie boarding all day, and then let's go see this movie. And the movie happened to be the second Pee Wee Herman movie, Pee Wee's Big Top, I think it's called. Okay. So we go to this thing. I see the security guard, and I said to him, he hadn't really looked at me. He had his back to me. And I said, hey, how do you get a job with you guys? And he turned around and he looked at me and he handed me a card. He said, dude, all you got to do is make a phone call. You'll have a job in 30 seconds. So I did that. As soon as I got done with the movie that night, I went home, called this dude. He goes, oh my God, come to work right now. I couldn't find a place. First time was a fiasco. Anyway, bottom line, I start working for these guys. Rip, you'll really appreciate this. First gig I do with these guys is a punk rock concert at the Olympic Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles. And the headline band was Heavy Dirt, HVYDRT. I'll never forget that. I don't know why it matters, but You know, of course, you remember the old Olympic Auditorium in downtown
Yep. Where you're freezing up on us a lot.
I think it's me.
Yeah, we got a bad connection or whatever. So I don't know if you can hear us now, but
you can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's on our end. My internet's we're good. You just froze a couple times. So you're good.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely on my end, not your end.
So anyway, this security company, I get this job. The first job's at the Olympic Auditorium, and the second job is at a place called the Palladium on Sunset Strip in LA, downtown LA. And it's a boxing match. It's the coming out of either Tate or Tillman after the '84 Olympics. It was their professional debut in the Palladium on Sunset Strip in LA. It's funny. I actually looked these stories up one day, just thought I'd type it into a newspaper. And you can actually find the newspaper article about the story I'm about to tell you. So they put me at the back door as the back door security guard at the beginning of the night. So like the first two matches, I was there, and I'm standing there, and I'm my body's facing this way, but I'm looking out the back door and watching limos and stuff pull up, and this limo starts to pull up. And about that time, I feel this bam right in my chest, and I look down and I'm looking at the top of a faucet. She just literally she looks up and she goes, "I'm so sorry." I said, I had to do everything I did to keep from slobbering all over. And Ryan O'Neill was with her. He looks at me and goes, "Yeah, she's clumsy. Don't worry. Sorry. Yeah, it's okay." I said, "She didn't hurt me. I'm fine. She weighs 80 pounds in a soaking wet a pair of 501 jeans, for Christ's sake. I'm 400 pounds. I don't think she hurt me." No, I didn't say that, but that's probably what I should have said. So anyway, now I'm standing. Now they put me ringside. I'm standing there, and this fucking guy, this camera guy, is walking around, and he backs right into me. And because I graduated from school in television and film, I had a job with an ABC affiliate for 3 years while I was at Iowa State University. These guys backing up, put my hand out, which is what you do professionally for somebody that's a cameraman to make sure they don't fall down. He felt my hand and he used it, and he backed right up and turned and started to walk away. When he did, he took a card out of his pocket. He said, "You need a," and I knew the guy. He'd been to Iowa State 6 months earlier to interview me and some other wrestlers for the ABC Wide World of Sports segment. So you talk about a small world, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now I'm standing there. This is the third thing that happened. This is sort of my day of reckoning, if you will, because it really changed my life. I'm standing there, and this guy, one of my immediate superior that had been placing me all over the place, he says, "Hey, you got to come with me. Somebody wants to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." So I go with this guy, and it's up underneath the Palladium. It's got like this back VIP area, where everybody's hiding and cigarettes, it's this old school fuck. You could still smoke inside,
right,
Yeah. So these guys are all back there. It looks like something straight out of a fucking mafia movie. You know what I mean? There's old Italians back in the corners with their wives with the bouffant hairdos still, because this is 1985, summer of 1985. So I walk over, and here's another guy in a security shirt, and he goes, "Hey, Max, my name's Dave Knutson. My real name's Daryl Peterson." He goes, "You part of the family, the Peterson family in Pleasant Grove?" He goes, I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I came and watched you wrestle at the high school all the time." And I'm like, "You got to be shitting me." He goes, "You ever thought about being a pro wrestler?" That's just, swear to God, that's just exactly how it had happened. He'd already heard about me. Then he'd gone, because he knew me and had watched me wrestle in high school. He knew Red Bastien was there, and he goes, "Let me introduce you to somebody." And he took me over to Red Bastien. And the rest, as they say, is history.
That was it, huh?
That was it. Wow. Red took one look at me and said, yeah, brother, yeah, get a hold of me. And I said, okay, Red.
So you trained, he was out of LA? Is that?
Yeah, and the school, so he did he did actually 3 or 4 schools. The first one, here's who came out of the first school Red Bastien did. Sting, Warrior, Steve DeSalvo, Angel of Death, who else? Trying to think, but I mean, that's a pretty big card your first time through. Sting and Warrior. They started off obviously as the Blade Runners together. I don't know if you know that, but their first gimmick was the Blade Runners. How big was that gimmick? Did that get any steam at all?
I remember him in Memphis. I think when I was a kid,
I think that's where it started.
I watched Memphis. I remember him on Memphis, and I've seen some old clips from that. So,
like everybody else starting out, they were horrendous.
Yeah. Just that's it's so funny. It's just like, Hawk and Animal. They were pretty beat up inside the business too initially because, no matter what happens. It is Clint. God damn it. I was right.
You said
Chris.
You said Chris.
I know I said Chris because I thought I said, so I must have said Chris the first time, right? Sorry, Clint. I knew
it, man.
I really am sorry. I don't normally not pay more attention to that.
So how long did you train there before you started doing matches and then going to meet Rip? What was the gap in between?
So what I did after this is where my life takes even a crazier fucking turn. I mean, if you think it's crazy till now. So one day I go to training and Red says, hey brother, would you be interested in going to, you got to be ready to go someplace like maybe Japan or Australia. And I'm like, really? Okay. Well, goddamn, that was easy. I said, well, fuck, dude, I want to be a wrestler. He said, okay. So fucking a week later, 2 weeks later, he called me on the phone and said the Japanese representative, her name was Chika Kujaroko. And he said she wants to come watch your work. And she came. All they were looking for was a big shooter. They just wanted somebody who was a big motherfucker that could shoot because they love shooters. And they decided to come recruit in LA and they heard Red had a guy. So they literally came to see me to decide whether they was going to take me. And Red called me the next day and said, you're going to Japan. $1,500 a week, I think it was, or something like that. 25, 2,000. And for me, as a first-time guy, Red was really excited for me. But he was also worried for me in a lot of ways, too, because I was already a shooter. He was worried that if I went to Japan and broke in Japan, it'd be tough when I came back to the States because, like Bill Eadie told me once, which ended up being really ridiculous, that people are going to be afraid that you're going to stretch them and blow them up. And I was the guy when I quit amateur wrestling. I wasn't, I was good at amateur wrestling and it put me through school, so I was good enough that it put me through a Division I school, a land grant college, and I'm fucking proud as shit of that. But by the same token, it's one of those things that they love that kind of mentality. And I forgot where I was going, but anyway, so where were we, Clint?
You were going to Japan.
Yeah, going to Japan. So they call me up. They say, Chika says we're going to meet in Los Angeles to fly to Tokyo. And I said, okay. So I fly to Los Angeles. I walk out on my wife, not of the marriage, just had to leave her behind. She was 8 months pregnant with my only daughter. And I walked out of the house and went to Japan. In the end, I was there for 9 months total in the beginning, something like that.
Wow.
Year back and forth to right after I left a bunch. And I was just, that was it. Then I went there, then I went home. And that was, unfortunately, the WWF had really, really kicked in to overdrive, and they were burying all the territories now.
Yeah.
So I got booked at Bill Watts's UWF, and he folded. I got booked in Montreal, they folded. And the only places left were places that were hard as fuck, and you didn't make no money. And that was Al Tomko in
Vancouver,
the Don Owen in Portland. Memphis was still open, and I think that was it. Continental was doing stuff on and off. I don't think they were full time at the time. Anyway, it was tough to get booked. Yeah. So I ran my own little territory for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Brought in some people, and had a lot of fun. Didn't make any money. Met a lot of new great people, and then I was this close to joining the real world, and I left it up to fate. I had a great job with a computer software company. They just offered me a really good gig, and they hadn't offered it to me yet. I'd just gone in for the first interview, and the day after the first interview I did with them, Otto Vons called me from Europe. And it wasn't Otto. It was, I didn't tell you, I remember what I was going to tell you. When I flew to Japan, and the guy I lived in Japan with was Chris Benoit.
Oh, okay.
So I met Chris Benoit in Los Angeles. I flew to Japan with Chris, and then we were roommates for the whole time I was in Japan. And then like I said, I went there, and Benoit called me, like I said, 2 days after this software interview.
Yeah.
And Otto Vons called me and said, "You want to come to Germany?" And I made the decision. If they called me first, the software company, I was going to go do that. And if Otto Vons called me first, I was going to go do that. And Otto was the most prompt of the two. So I went to Germany. And quite honestly, the best move I ever made. Really, it really was. It was, I learned more there probably than any place you can imagine, because the intimacy of wrestling in Europe is so different than it is here.
Hey, Max, we're showing 1 minute on this Zoom. Hey, do you care if I send you a new link? I'd like to get into a little bit more with you and Rip.
Yeah, no, of course.
You got some time?
Yeah, I planned on being in this morning, bro. Totally
okay.
inclined.
Let me go ahead and end this, and I'll email you a new link, and we'll restart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. We are recording. I just hope I had my microphone on during the last segment we did. If not,
you had to have, because I could hear you.
You could hear me. Okay. All right.
So yeah, I can hear both of you actually.
All right. Awesome, man. Well, welcome back here. So got
to be back.
Few more minutes. Getting in to go into Austria. So I wanted to get into you and the Ripper meeting up. Is this where you guys?
Yeah, second year Germany, right, Rip? Or was you there the first year too?
No, I was just there 1 year.
So yeah, the second year Rip was there, and wow, yeah, it was a crazy time. You know, Germany and Austria is it's a fun place to wrestle. The way they do it is quite a bit different. And it's a really, really fun place to.
Yeah, we was in Hanover 70 days in a row.
Yeah, and we get to experience. You know, when you're like that, when you're in that position, you can really experiment. You know, you wrestle with everybody so many times that It's almost like it used to be when you're there, you're not married to one guy, but at least you're married to 15 guys,
Yeah.
and you get to know them and their repertoire so you can play into it. And then on top of that, this year was pretty unique because the territory had been reeled down. And I'd like to believe that I had a little bit of something to do with filling some houses at the end of my time there. And it was fucking crazy fun. We actually all got to see people come and, actually put some asses in some seats.
Right.
And God, it makes your job so much easier when you got a full house, man. You can give blood then,
Who else was with you guys in Germany?
Well, you have their entire standard crew, which would be Fit Finley, Dave Taylor, Mick McMichael, the referee, DTA, the other referee, the French heel referee.
Didier Gap.
He is probably one of the most gifted
poker
wrestlers.
Face. Great.
Oh my God, he's amazing. He's really one of those guys that I don't know how Vince never grabbed him. I always was confused by that because Didier was like, I don't know, like Charlie Chaplin or something. He was like a genius. He had the greatest body language and that funny, body humor. So we had Gap, we had Brody, Colonel Brody, Tony St. Clair, Mille Zerno, Klaus, Eddie Steinblock, usually always like the strongest guy in Austria or Germany. In this case, we had a guy, he was something else. He was he was amazing. I think that was my last year there, though, not this particular season. But we had a couple of experimental guys. Plus, there was a Japanese guy, Takayuki Izuka was there. Derek,
Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo. Derek.
Derek Dukes. Derek Dukes.
Derek Dukes. Larry Cameron was there.
Cameron, yeah.
And I probably missed a couple of guys, and then there were people in and out all the time. Like Hawk was there. I don't know if he was there when Rip was there, but we had, Otto always had somebody coming in and out. Like Terry Overlord, the Warlord was there. I wrestled him, actually. I worked with him the last night in the territory, actually, that season in Bremen that night.
So we were talking about living arrangements actually today in different places. What was it like there? Did you guys live together, roommates, have a hotel?
They all had the caravan.
All had a trailer.
The trailer.
Like a 20-foot camper trailer. There were just outside. So that's what you would do. So just imagine, instead of going up in the mountains and fucking, having all the trailers around a campfire, there was just behind the building, there was just like a row of trailers that everybody lived from. So all the guys from England, they all owned their own trailers. So they would drive, through the tunnel and bring their trailer to Europe. And then they would just leave it there rather than taking it home, because they didn't use it except for when they were on the road in Germany. So there were a lot of guys who just had trailers that they left in Germany year round. And then to make money off the Americans, they had friends that would rent your equipment. So we all rented our equipment, and they came around for their money every week or 2 weeks or month or whatever it was. We just paid, usually like you just paid one of the boys. Like I think I paid Tony St. Clair directly or something like that. You know what I mean? Right. But we lived literally at the fucking place.
Yeah.
And then the guy that you rented the trailer from would come and drag your trailer to the next place. So, before we went to Hanover, we were in Vienna for 45 days. So, and then before that, we were in Graz for 14 days or 15, whatever it was. So no matter where you went, that's what you did, unless it was a day shot. Like we did a few day shots where we went to France. I think this might have been the year before Rip was there, but we went to France one weekend, and we'd do other things, events where we'd go eat and stuff like that, and they'd take us all kinds of places. But generally speaking, you're mounted with the building. And that's German tradition, because that's what they do. That's it. Germans, you just got to give them that much of a reason to drink beer, and they'll do it. Fuck yeah, let's go throw a 10 up, have some hot dogs, drink a bunch of beer.
Did you ever see Rip drink a beer?
Huh?
Did you ever see Rip drink a beer?
No, Rip doesn't drink. I've seen that motherfucker pound down a shitload of goddamn Coca-Cola. I'll bet you. I'm here to fucking tell you right now, goddamn, it was tough keeping him in stock.
He drank one time in 1986.
Yeah, New Year's.
Yeah, Rip's not a drinking guy. Yeah, now he'll pill with the best of them.
Out of boredom.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's shit.
You can only
that's 90% of it anyway. Isn't
you
it?
can only train so much, right?
Now, did you and Rip? Did you guys wrestle with each other, against each other? Not at all. What was
No, we never wrestled against each other, because we were Americans. Usually, Americans were the heels.
Yeah.
So they had to turn me babyface when I started playing the guitar, because the people wouldn't fucking have it.
Yeah.
I came out and played the guitar once, and the crowd immediately turned me babyface. And I think Rip would tell you that was the night shit changed. It was David Taylor that turned me babyface. And then as soon as he did, I started playing the guitar. One of the first things I learned how to play was in Germany was the German national anthem.
Oh, wow.
So
that'd probably do it.
Yeah, and that wins them over big time. So I would start playing the national anthem, and it was we had a lot of fucking fun. I mean, we really experimented. Like one night, we did a gimmick with Fit Finley where I went out to play. It was a good house too, and I went out to play, and he'd fucking unplugged me and was standing over there with the fucking cord dangling out. And the crowd, I thought they were going to have to fucking, they went nuts. It was one of those nights where, it's just, after the ship broke down, after the whole guitar thing started, I don't know about you, Rip, but from that moment on is when it sort of became a blur, when in Hanover, once we started and it wasn't every night. I don't want to say that, but then when the weekends would come, then it would get crazy. So once you get that kind of feeling, when you get those kinds of houses, then you just go crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's what you dream of having. And so, I'd been in Germany this was my second season, and it was the shits. There were a few good, not the shits, but I mean, it was good business enough to make a living, but it was hard. Once again, It's really hard to make a living when they're like Vienna. Oh my God, Vienna was a nightmare. The ring was hard. The crowd, when the ring's really bad, wrestlers have to protect themselves. And so they don't give the way they would give in a ring that's good. And we begged Otto several times, please put a good ring in Vienna so we can give the people a good show.
But that was Peter, right?
Yeah, it was Peter. It was Peter. They begged him, and he just fucking, typical promoter. He wasn't going to spend a fucking dime to make it better. He had a ring. Why wouldn't he just use the ring that was there? And we all told him, all the fucking English guys told him, and we all said, look, man, you can't take a fucking bump in a ring that's not forgiving.
Yeah.
Jesus, this thing was like fucking falling on you might as well just build the goddamn ring on the concrete.
This is funny. Let me make a couple points, Max. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like, I was a heel, but when the first day in there, Peter Williams was the guy that ran Graz, Vienna, etc. In Austria. He said he wanted me to do a poof gimmick, right?
Yeah.
So I was a baby face, but I was a heel my whole life almost, and now they want me to do this other thing. So I said, okay, and I do it. Was I comfortable with it? No, but I'd worked a whole lot with Adrian Street, so it was better than nothing. But that was what they wanted. Then when we
fuck, Rip, come on, brother. You fucker. Let's not call us. Let's just fucking call this out. You embraced that motherfucker very quickly, and you were great at it. That motherfucker, he's funny because he knows. One night I called him out about this shit, but we won't go into that right now. But what is funny is, man, when he finally embraced the queer gimmick, it was.
You're not allowed to say that.
I'll edit that out. Don't worry about it.
All right. You won't edit it. I know. Come on.
What? You can't edit that out. He embraced the hell out of it. He was good at it. Fuck, if you're gonna do something, do it good.
You have to say homosexual. You can't say the Q word. You get canceled on this shit.
Not queer. Queer is the politically correct thing.
Oh.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
No, queer is the politically correct word for the homosexual community. I could be wrong, but check me out. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I have a lot of queers in my family, so you'll be safe.
Hey, it's like in Germany. Let's say, now this is just, if we were in Hanover like 70 straight days, that means you could buy a season ticket. And you'd have the same seat.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's what
and people would save their money all year. So they
just to come and do this.
Could buy a season ticket. So it was just a hangout.
Yeah.
And they're having sausages and they're drinking beer and yelling. And
that's the key right there. You in order to, I think it's actually a law in Germany that you can't drink beer without sausage and vice versa. They have to be present in the same place because they'll just get really pissed off at you if they don't have a crack hour. And damn, they make some good sausages, I will say.
I want to tell you this little story, and Max can laugh, back it up or whatever. But Max was so nice. Whenever we would go out, he would buy. So at the end of every night, we got paid every night, but at the end of the night, pretty much Max was always broke because he'd buy everybody's stuff. So after a certain time, I would give him a stipend and he would hand me his money every night and I'd keep it in my fanny pack.
Yeah.
So that when he went home, he had a big wad of money and his wife loved him because he had never come home with money before. But if we would go out, his big thing was, I'll buy. But anyway, so, and if you want
we had some fucking fun though.
Is there truth to that story?
Yeah, probably. I'm a pretty generous sod. My house was open. Like when I lived in Atlanta, I had, it was like a fucking boarding house. There were just people in and out all the time. So because like Rip would come down and, he would come down to do shots with WCW. So he'd come stay with me. Anytime Chris Benoit was in town, he'd come stay. I just give him a key. I think I gave Rip a key too and just said, whenever you're in town, just fucking come.
So yeah, let's get to that coming back. Did you go to WCW first? Did you go to Memphis? I remember you in Memphis. I
went to Memphis. I went to Memphis right after Japan. So I was in Memphis from January until I think October or November of '87. I was there for a year. Yeah. So yeah, I was in Memphis then. Then that's when I went home and did my own little territory. After Memphis, I went home, did my own little territory. Had a lot of fun in Memphis. Learned a shitload in Memphis. Really did. But I think the place that I really learned, well, in fairness, I can't really take anything away from the Japanese because that's really where I broke in, as I really broke in Japan.
Yeah.
Because that's where I wrestled my first professional match, and that's where I spent hours and hours and hours kneeling at the ringside like this, like all the Japanese young boys did, watching all the matches from ringside, which was, looking back in retrospect now, was just ridiculously amazing. In fact, I just found a picture the other day of me and Chris. One of the photographers across the ring from us had taken pictures, and both Chris and I are like this, kneeling on the ringside, So yeah, it was a great time. I was really lucky.
Who'd they have you working with the most in Memphis? I don't
Well, I started with Lawler.
Did you?
Right out of the gate, Lawler painted shit on my forehead, and we fucked with shit, and he got calls that he was Satan and I was Satan, and which is what he wanted.
I kind of remember that now. I do.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yep.
We had fun, and then so he put the strap on me, and then right after that, then he put me with Gary Young, and Gary Young and I had the strap, and I had the heavyweight strap. So we went up and down the road, for a while. Things went really good. I actually really, like I said, I had a great time in Memphis. I loved working with Lawler's a great teacher, to just get you he's good at his game.
Yeah.
And if you play into that game, he's a good teacher. He was fun as fuck to work with. I had a blast working with Lawler, man. He's patient, tells you, especially if you're a rookie. I was a rookie. He knew it. He took care of me. He taught me how to be a good heel, and how to really traverse the ring. When you work with somebody with that kind of experience consistently, then you're you can't help but get better. So Memphis was a good learning place too. In other ways, probably stronger. Not stronger, but at least as equal. There's a whole bunch of life to learn on the road in Memphis.
Right. How'd you get to WCW then? That was before WWF, right?
Well, you're sitting next to him. After we started, Rip, and there were two people that really pushed me hard into doing the guitar gimmick. Rip, were you with us the night I played at the beer tent with Fit? Did you come?
I think so, because I went it pretty much everywhere.
I'm sure. I remember the first time I ever played in public with, so Fit and Rip were the two guys that were really behind me. And Salvador, I just thought of him to Salvatore Bellomo. Yeah. He was really fucking into my guitar playing gimmick. So was David. No, not David. His son was the disco kid or whatever, the German disco.
Yeah,
right, Steve Wright.
Yeah,
that's the other German.
Steve Wright's kid.
Yeah, Steve Wright's kid. Steve Wright.
Alex Wright.
Alex Wright.
Yeah, Alex. Yeah, Alex Wright. Steve, his dad, was probably, which blew me away, because you would think Steve's not a conservative. He's just, he's a very well put together dude, and he fucking loved my gimmick. But Rip and these two guys, really, Rip and Finley were really, really into it. One night, Finley comes to me and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "you're going with me tonight." And I said, "Where are we going?" He goes, "Take your guitar, bring your shit. You're playing in front of a bunch of people." I said, "Fuck, Fit, I'm scared. I can't do that." And he goes, "Yes, you can, you fucker. You want to do this gimmick, then you got to start playing in front of people. So I got you booked. You're going to fucking play in front of these people." Okay, I'll go. So we go. He goes, "Listen, I play the drums. I'll play the drums for you. You fucking go. I'll play the drums for you, okay?" And I said, "Really? You play the fucking drums?" He goes, "Yes, I play the drums. I'll fucking play the drums for you. So let's just fucking go." So I think Rip was with us, and we go to this fucking place, right? And it is a fucking German Oktoberfest fucking tent. And it is fucking packed from front to back, and everybody's got one of those Mondo Steins in front of them, and they are fucked up, right? And all of a sudden we go in there, and I go, "I am not fucking playing here." And Fit looks at me and he goes, "The fuck you're not. I'll kick your fucking ass. And out of everybody in the camp, I'm the only one that can. So get your fucking ass up there. I told you I'm playing drums for you." I said, "Okay, if you're going to play drums, then I'll do it." And he said, "Okay." So they fucking come on and they start talking. They introduce me and I'm going, "Woo, okay, Fit, go get on the drums." He goes, "I can't play." Oh, you fucking cocksucker. I turned to him and I almost walked off. He come out, he had to jump on me and push me onto the stage. And he's like, no, you're going to fucking go play, goddammit. Get your ass out there. Oh, fuck. So I'm thinking, I know the German people pretty well by now. What song could I play that they're for sure going to fucking get into? So I tore into Give Me 3 Steps by Leonard Skinner. And so I'm playing, and all of a sudden I'm looking down, and the fucking audience is, I mean, they're fucking, there's beer being spilled. You know what I mean? I'm going, wow, all right, man. I couldn't look very long, but I didn't look up much when I was playing this first time. But I get done, and this is the first time I experienced this. I finished playing, and I turn my guitar down. And there, when you play a musical instrument and the source of the sound is you, pure physics says it takes time for the sound to go from here to the back of the room,
right,
and everybody in between, right? So when you turn your guitar down, there's about a 1 second delay where it's dead silent. You could literally fucking hear crickets. And I've had it happen to me so many times now. I know it's just the nature of the beast. That when you turn your guitar down, the human interaction of the sound and everything takes that long. I turned the sound down and there was no reaction. I went, oh, and they fucking exploded. The place just fucked. They were spilling beer everywhere. And that was as they say, the rest is history.
Did you know Rip was in a band at one time?
I do know Rip was in a band. What was it, Rip? What'd you play? I played lead guitar years ago. How come you didn't ever jam with me, you fuck? I had no interest in it anymore.
No, yeah, well, he and I think we talked about this.
Yeah, I had the Les Paul Jr. guitar.
That's right. I remember now. Yeah, do you still have that?
No, my nephew, who's in 2 bands, he lives in upstate New York and runs a bar. I gave it to him when he graduated from high school, and he refurbished.
Oh, I'll bet you he loved you.
I've got it in 1963, so he refurbished everything. So,
that guitar's worth some fucking cash. 63, right. Fucking Les Paul Jr., guarantee you. He loved Uncle Rippy then.
Yeah.
He
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's then the season just, Rip was one of those guys going, I got to get you to Bill Watts, Max, because Bill loves shooters. He'll want to fucking meet you, and then the guitar gimmick is
icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's just icing on the cake, and at least we all thought, at the time, I think we all really had this perception that once I got to the States, somebody would see the value, because in the end, that's what wrestling is. It's nothing more. And forgive me, I'm not reducing it to that, but the whole point of wrestling is to do what? Sell tickets. That's it.
Sell tickets.
It fucking to have somebody show up and fucking give you money to watch what you're doing. That's the bottom fucking line. Yeah. So whatever you got to do to put asses in seats. That's why the guys in Germany at the time that I was doing this stuff really enjoyed what in fact, Otto wasn't going to do it until Peter told him, "You're out of your fucking mind, man. We made money." Right. I mean, it was one of those things that finally the houses were, even at the time, some of the English guys weren't as excited about my gimmick until the season started to get better,
Yeah. So you said Rip went to bat for you.
I'm not certainly taking all the credit for that. I'm just saying we got on a roll as a team, and that just happened to be another great high spot for somebody to come and put their money down. Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, you said Rip helped, I think, get you in WCW basically.
Rip didn't help. He called Bill Watts for me.
What year was that, and how long were you there for?
That was 90. That was at the end of 92, right, Rip?
Right.
So 93 is when I started in the WCW. So I was in Germany till the 18th of December of 92 when I wrestled the Warlord in Bremen. And then I came home and I started for Bill Watts in February at Stampede when I played the national anthem and wrestled Dustin Rhodes. And Rip is the one that got me there. He's the one that called Bill for me. And then he called me back, said, Bill wants to talk to you, gave me his number. I called him. And once again, rest is history.
How long was that run there?
I think it was almost 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, I think. I mean, I don't know the dates exactly when I was there and when I left, but I think it was most of 93 and the beginning to the middle of 94, because I know I was there at Christmas because I just watched an interview I did in Atlanta at Christmas time in 93. And I was still in the middle of my feud with Johnny B. Bad. He'd just stolen my guitar. So, yeah, I'm positive it was probably to the summer. Yeah. In fact, I think in the summer of 94 is when we did Disney, if I'm not mistaken. The first Disney run was in the summer of 94. And I was there for that.
You were talking when he called in last week about the Nasty Boys match. What was that? You and Cactus versus the Nasty Boys? That was a spring Stampede too, I think, or something. And we were in the United Center, the match in the United Center, I think. Is that the one you're talking about, or the one where Knobs got hurt?
Yeah.
The one that Knobs got hurt, or the United Center?
Yeah.
Well, which one? He's saying which one? Yeah.
Well, it was in the United Center. It was some pay-per-view in the United Center because I was working security. Watts said, you want to have a dark match? You want to work security? I said, I want to work security. I don't want to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. He probably remembers better than I do.
So Rip going to bat for you. What? Give me some shit on Rip. Give me some dirt on Rip in the WCW locker room. Is there anything you got on that? Was it always a good thing that Rip was in your corner, or did that work against
Rip's
you ever?
One of those, I got to be honest with you, Clint. I'm that guy that for whatever reason, the clique didn't like me. I'm that guy that the fucking clique decided just didn't, fit their mentality. And so, they went out of their way to eliminate me. And Rip was another one of those guys that, they couldn't look past, which I find amazing. This is the part that I find amazing about this, is the clique couldn't look past and didn't, because they didn't want to. And I guess an argument would be made that, they did all right. They all made great money. They just weren't very generous with sharing that money with anybody they didn't think. And you would think that if you really wanted to sell an angle, the best thing you could do is have a heel that you trusted, but just flat didn't fucking like you. Because then your emotion in the ring is only bolstered by that kind of fucking emotion, right, Rip? But just like Rip and I were just talking about this the other day. This is the classic example of the shit that starts happening. And it should have, for me, it was a difficult time because my career, because of the way I was handled when I played the national anthem, was probably the beginning of the death knell in my coffin, because they didn't want me to be a baby face.
Right, yeah.
They did not want a baby face in me. They wanted me to be a big, badass fucking heel. And when I played the national anthem and people cheered, they did not know what the fuck to do. And Rip and I were talking about that the other night. If I was a booker, if Rip was a booker, and I'm out there playing the fucking national anthem and you can see the people are getting off on it, what are you going to do, Rip?
I'm going to have go heels and just kick the shit out of you and leave you for fucking dead.
Bust my fucking dead. Yeah, no shit. I would have, honestly, it's a fucking guitar. They could have smashed my guitar to bits. Imagine the fucking heat that would have came from a couple of heels running out there and busting up my guitar in the middle of the national anthem. You can't fucking you couldn't generate heat like that with a move. I mean, it would just been great. It was something that never would have been done before. And I always thought that was sad. I always thought, wow, how did nobody just go send a fucking heel out there right now and smash that guy to bits and tell him to stay down? We'll send a fucking ambulance out for him. You know, but that's not the way it happened. And you know what? I can't do anything, but honestly, I have to be a lot thankful. I met great people like Rip, and Rip's one of those guys, you know, a lot of times, and that's why I brought up the fact that I'm proud that I've lived to be 60. A lot of times people don't get recognized in their own lifetimes. And sometimes it's not till posthumously that greatness is recognized. And I think Rip's one of those guys. I think Rip will go down as a guy which is why I've always respected him, is a guy who will go down as somebody who he did it his way. And if you didn't like it, go fuck yourself on Main Street. And that meant a lot to me. And it was that attitude along, you know, Finley's a lot the same way. He's a guy that just don't take fucking shit from nobody. And, you know, those are the guys that I respect. You know, Finley, as far as I'm concerned, is one of those guys who never got the serious fucking kind of push he was capable of handling. You know, there were quite a few guys out there. Rip is another one of those guys. If the fucking guys in the WWF could have looked past the things the rumors that Rip was more than willing to fulfill by fucking sticking his hand in a shit toilet because Barry Windham had fucking lost his keys and nobody else dared stick their fucking hand in there to pick him out. You know, when you do something like that, you know, then all of a sudden, you know, really? See, that's the part, is how does a wrestler judge? How do you stand in contempt of another wrestler's habits when I guarantee you there's a mirror in front of you, motherfucker?
Right. Well, we've joked on there, at least I have, about Rip getting in the WWE Hall of Fame anytime soon. And he gave it a 0% chance, but he said if he did, I could induct him. Yeah. So, yeah.
You know, like I said, I hope I love Rip, and he's one of those guys I've always, you know, just thought the world of, partly because he towards me, and I know it wasn't just to me. Rip is very unselfish with his teaching abilities, and he taught me a lot. I mean, we would sit sometimes in my trailer. I provided the Coke, he provided the tutoring.
Coca-Cola, you mean?
Yeah, Coca-Cola. No, not this. For me, it was hash. Rip didn't smoke. You know, we all smoke fucking hash because it's hard to get flour in Europe, so you end up smoking hash. I hate hash. Anyway. Is that 2 months? Is that too far?
No, you're fine, man.
Fucking pot's
hey, legal. Just an FYI, we have 4 minutes.
Okay. So, yeah, I think, let me just summarize that. I think Rip will find his way eventually into a lot of places of, you know, endearment because of the people he's trained. And I know there's people out there, that he's genuinely trained and genuinely know Rip. I doubt that very many of them have bad things to say about Rip.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I was in several classes that he did train, contract, non-contract. And I would say that first kind of run when you got fired, we had talked about it. Some of the guys thought he was too rough, you know, would go up and tell on him and all that kind of stuff. But the people too rough.
Wait a minute.
Too rough. But the people that came in on their own dime and were hungry and wanted to get signed, I mean, I don't think there's hardly any of them that will say, you know, bad things about Rip at that level.
Please tell me, Rip, that you didn't get shit from the fucking office for being rough on rookies.
I won't say. Well,
just tell him.
If class started at 8, at 8:01, I locked the door. Now I'm
So that's pretty fucking simple. You're there at 7:59 every day.
Yeah. So
or sooner.
Or sooner.
Better yet, don't test the fucking waters on clock synchronicity.
But they was getting paid to learn. But they wanted to hang out all night with their lats out, acting like they was over and closing the tit bars. So I had class at 8 a.m. Now I'm getting there at 7, and I'm coming from 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
And Louisville was on a 1 hour ahead of us. So you can imagine what time I had to leave.
Yeah, I don't think the price to pay, when you broke in the wrestling business when we were young, there was a tremendous price to pay. And just being let into the business
that was an honor.
It was a fucking honor because you worked your ass off to get there, man. Nobody fucking gave it to you. Like I said, when I say I went to Japan, it was no fucking cakewalk. It was the hardest thing. I was an amateur wrestler, and it was the hardest thing I ever fucking did. So I always felt like I earned my boots, so to speak. And if you don't pay that price, well, then it will mean nothing to you, and you'll disregard it. For me, I could never disregard it. It had a huge impact on my life, on all of our lives, didn't it?
Listen, we got 1 minute left. So we didn't get to like WWF. We didn't get to what you're doing now. So
you do it again.
Maybe another time we'll have you back on.
Yeah. When you need a guest, give me a call.
Yeah, man. And we
I got a bunch of other shit coming out too, Clint. not getting to the WWF means we didn't get to the movie I'm going to be releasing and this year. It's coming out this year. I'm not fucking letting this year go by.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, we can get to all that. So
yeah,
definitely.
So we'll do this again. I got an album I'm going to release, and it's got some great stories behind it. And
holy shit.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff that we didn't even come close to touching on.
We might have to do 2 more calls then.
I'm in. I'll do it whenever you want.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, man. This thing's getting ready to end.
Okay.
Maxx Payne, it's been an honor.
My pleasure, fellas. Rip, love you, brother. Till the next time. Clint, thanks, my friend. Anytime, just give me a call.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Is that Clint or Chris or Vaughn? Which one?
No, it's Clint. Don't fuck with me, Rogers.
Hey, watch your profanity, please.
Yeah, now you tell it.
What are you guys not cuz?
No, it's fine.